I have props. Um, if you're very sharp-eyed, you may notice that a couple of these cues have shafts that are a little bit longer than the others. That would be this cue and this cue. This, I don't think I've ever shown some of these. So this is one of my Jacoby cues. Bought on a whim, like a lot of my stuff. It's got Jacoby shaft, but this is a 30-inch shaft, not a 29. This cue right here is a Peachar, fantastic playing cue. It has a Mez X Pro shaft on it, also a 30-inch shaft. I ordered this one because I like this one. I like this extra length, and so when I ordered the X Pro, I'm like, yeah, let's do 30 inches. What the heck? You know, what's the worst that could happen? So, another one of my props. This is my Tim Scruggs, which I'm sure you guys have all seen before. It's got this extension in the middle right now. I do not normally play with these extensions, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about here. This one, it's the X5 brand. Don't know what that means. I have other ones that say like extend right or something like that, but it's basically an extension that goes between the joint and the shaft and adds some length. So I'm 5'8" on a good day when the moon is directly overhead and stretching me up. So yeah, I'm not particularly tall, and I've very often thought, if I didn't have to stretch out on this one shot, maybe I would have made it. I thought that kind of thing a lot. This cue, this was my main Peachar, and it's just got just the stock shaft on it, the stock Peachar shaft. But it's also got a bumper that will accept this extension, which just screws on. Except they don't have the right brand. Take my word for it. Screws on, adds length to the rear. I think these are much more common. This type of extension is much more common nowadays than the one that goes in the center. But I just want to talk a little bit about the length of the cues and kind of what it did for me. As I mentioned, I wanted it to not stretch out as much on some shots. And I wasn't talking about very much. Just there were just some shots where I would be stretched out, and I guess I would think, well, gee, if I was an inch taller, maybe I could have gotten better action on the ball or something like that, as opposed to just having to shoot a stop shot because I'm all stretched out. I'm thinking that a lot. And so the first extensions I ever tried, actually the first extensions that were ever available to me, because I shot with Sean cues at that time, were these ones that went in the middle. So right now this one's on my Scruggs, but the same deal. And this is adding 8 inches to my cue. So a lot of the stretches that I would have otherwise had, I don't have anymore. And I liked this kind of thing. And I shot with it for maybe 2 months until I just decided, no, I'm missing too often. I'm not used to this extra length, this extra weight balance yet. I'm not used to it. So with this kind of extension, because it's such a pain in the ass, it's got to screw on to the shaft, it's got to screw on to the butt. I think most people that would play with this type of extension, they just leave it on all the time. And to me, that was a problem. Because while it may come in handy when I have a shot like this, that extra length may come in handy on a shot like this, in reality, I don't have shots like that as often. I have normal shots where I'm not stretched out. And those are the cases where the extra weight and the change in the balance were just messing me up. So, I bet I have a half dozen of these things now. I've just gotten some over the years with various cues and such. This one I got with my Rundy Sean recently, this X5. But I don't play with them. I don't carry them around in my case, whatever. I don't play with them because of that. You're making a change that is basically a permanent change, you know, for that game or that match or whatever. Because you don't want to be that guy that after every shot, if he has to stretch out, is taking 5 minutes to put the extension on and then taking it back. No, I don't want to be that guy. So I kind of gave up on those middle of the cue extensions. Yeah, that's just me. The next thing that I got was this one. Is that right? No, this one, sorry. So on my Jacoby, I buy this Jacoby and I get it home and I'm messing with it, and come to find out by comparing it to my other cues, it's got a 30-inch shaft. And watch out, cat. I liked the extra length a lot. I liked almost everything about the way this shaft played.
Aww.
You know how much I liked it? Can you tell how I don't play with low squirt shafts anymore? Oh, that's funny. I'm probably a little bit paranoid about bumping into my cues, but I like the 30-inch shaft. Even just that extra inch, I'm sure it helped a little bit on the shots where I was stretched out. But I was kind of convinced that it changed my timing enough on the stroke, and the weight balance was just different enough that it worked really well for me for quite a while. Boy, this shaft actually feels really good. It's nice and smooth. Kind of makes me feel like I need to smooth up some of my other shafts. I really liked it. And as I said, when I bought the X Pro, anybody that's not familiar with the Mez X Pro shaft, I think we've established that the camera won't focus, but this is a carbon fiber core and a wood exterior. So I like the way the carbon fiber cues play a lot, but I do not like the way they look very much at all. I have not been able to get past the color. You guess what? This is wood colored. So I'm like, hey, that's the best of both worlds. It looks like a real shaft and plays like a carbon fiber shaft. So let's order an X Pro. I think at the time they were the only ones that I had heard about, or maybe they were the only ones that would fit a P-Char. I don't really remember. It was probably just the first ones I saw when I Googled them or whatever. And while I was at the page, it said, what length do you want? I'm like, well, let's just get a 30 because I really like this other 30-inch shaft. Let's just get a 30-inch shaft. And I got this, and you know, the X Pro is a very, very good shaft as well. In this case, maybe the novelty of the extra length was starting to wear off. Because frankly, I don't think I cared that this is a 30-inch shaft versus some of my other cues that only had. Now I just ruined that cue. Don't you hate it when that happens? That's the one I was just talking about, how good the shaft felt, and now I've just dented it because it's your all's fault. This is definitely a low squirt shaft, low deflection as the marketing people call it. Yay! But there wasn't anything special to me about the length anymore. It was cool to have a little bit of the carbon fiber playability, but still look like a wood shaft. It was cool for that. But like I said, I guess I was just over that extra inch. And there were times when I guess that would just mess with my balance. I've been playing with a 58-inch cue with a 29-inch shaft since the early 80s. So it made perfect sense, it still does, that even an extra inch could potentially throw something off, especially since I try to play by feel for the most part. My inner pool player is like, what in the holy crap are you hitting a ball with? It's an extra inch? Screw that. I don't know, that's just maybe just me. So I would probably still be playing with this. Actually, with the X Pro, yeah, I would probably still be playing with the X Pro, except I have switched back to stock shafts. And that's what I was playing with my PHR, with my Shrugs, and now with my Southwest. Just back to the stock shafts. If I was still playing with the low squirt shafts, it would probably be the X Pro. Fine shaft. I'm not ready to go to the full blown carbon fiber black shafts. I'm not, and I may never be ready to do that. I may be too old of a dog to learn that particular new trick. What I really want to do is find an extension that fits this other damn cube. Maybe this one. Yeah, probably. And then I thought of something else. Haha. Don't you guys just love it when I have props and when I'm not prepared for shit? So, this again is my PHR. This is just a stock PHR shaft. This shaft is the reason I switched away from low squirt shafts. This one right here. It's actually been through 3 different PHRs right now. This is the 3rd one. This is the last one that I got. This was my main. At one point I sent it back to PHR and said, or I just ordered the bumper replacement from them, and then they did that, and this just screws on. I hope I have the right brand this time, and I do. Adds 8 inches. This kind is much more common. This is the kind that you'll see people in matches, if they get a shot where they're all stretched out, you know, they'll take a minute or two and they'll go get one of these and put it on, as opposed to 5 minutes to put on one of those center extensions. But yeah, for this, 8 inches is absolutely great. I can reach this just fine, and I don't feel like I'm contorting myself by stretching out or anything like that. These are great, and they're temporary. I actually have one that goes on my Southwest as well, if I ever need it. The thing is, like I say, even though I'm not particularly tall, I've been playing for an awful long time without all this fancy shit, without all these extensions. So I'm not gonna say I don't need them, but a big part of me just feels like I don't need them. It's like it's too much trouble to go and add, to take a break and go and add this to the cue instead of just stretching out and being a man and shooting a shot. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm probably wrong in that case. I think if I have the tools available to me and they're legal and all that, then I should probably use them. But I'm also not saying that's what I do. So I found this when I was just digging in that box. This thing annoys me. This is yet another temporary extension. Whatever, this is probably like a foot, and it comes out to whatever that is, 2 feet, 18 inches. What it's problem with this is, and you can probably guess, you know, for me, is that this thing you have to put on the end of your cue and then tighten it down, and it's like, so it's clamping on the end of the cue. I would never put this on any cue I gave any kind of a shit about whatsoever, because I'd be afraid of screwing up the finish of my cue. So this, to me, is 100% useless. I guess I could carry this around in case I ever get bugged. I have a weapon, but I hardly ever get bugged. And that's this. It's stupid. Of course, the old school way, if you're stretched out and need to be able to access something, is use a bridge. I have several kinds of bridges around here. The one that I actually use more often than anything else, just because it's right here, is I just got a moosehead bridge on this telescoping doohickey, so it fits in my case. And for the most part, I can just do that. And that's what I do if I need a bridge. Even then, it's still not very often. I mentioned before, I am halfway competent shooting left-handed. So there are a lot of shots that I would just shoot left-handed instead of even getting the bridge. This here is probably not one of those cases. This one I'm probably going to get the bridge, because reaching this left-handed, I couldn't even do that. But I can get the bridge and do that, and that's fine. So you can get the bridge. You can get, you know, a longer cue. Hell, Earl and Jason Shaw both have cues that are probably longer than they are tall. I don't know if they have special order cues, or if they just put on a bunch of these extensions and made them semi-permanent. Don't know. And guess what? They both shoot pretty darn well with those things. I feel like I probably could shoot pretty well for myself once I got used to whatever change I made. But for now, for me, it's not worth it. I don't need that extra length often enough to have to get used to that extra length and the extra weight and the change in the balance and all that. I'm perfectly fine with what I have right now as my Southwest, and then if I have to stretch out, I can get the bridge, or I can put my extension on, or I can shoot left-handed, and it's a temporary thing, one shot only type of a deal, instead of changing something, you know, way more often. This is just my opinion. And 20 years ago, I would have been all about adding stuff to my cue, even if it was permanent, just because it simply existed. Because I was all about, you know, that kind of stuff. And now I'm more like, you know what, I'm too old of a dog to learn the new tricks in a lot of cases. That's just what I think about it. So this is just a video that I have. There's another bridge over there I forgot about. I have a lot of bridges. Don't use them very often though. I use that one. And that's kind of it. If I ever need anything more drastic than that, those bridges that stack and all that bullshit like that, I guess I don't play in those kind of events. And I'm not good enough anyway to be able to do the whole stacking bridge bullshit. I'm gonna shut up now. Bye.